Welcome back, grade 10s. Now let us wrap up our lesson. But before we just look at our concept map, let us look at the note there. It says the mind map summarizes all the content for this lesson. It will help you to remember all the aspects of the work that you should study in detail. Be sure to study all the relevant content for each section. Now we are looking at the mind map. This is an overview of what our lesson unpacked. We first started with the differences between profit and non-profit companies, followed by the private company, and followed by the personal liability company. And lastly, we looked at the public company. Now, new words and language recap. So here are the words that you came across with throughout our lesson. We had the term securities, shares and bonds issued by a company. Limited liability, it's a legal status where a person's financial liability is limited to an amount invested in the business. Unlimited liability, business owners are responsible for all the business debts. Memorandum of Incorporation, MOI, a document that sets out the rights, duties, and responsibilities of shareholders, directors, and other stakeholders within the business. We had the term company, a type of business structure that has a separate legal entity from its owners. We also came across the term directors, people elected to the board of a company by the shareholders to represent the shareholders' interest. And lastly, there was a term which was audit, which means a process where financial statements of the business are checked to confirm that they are correct. Now, let us look at our common errors recap. The misconceptions and errors is that most of the learners find it difficult to identify the profit and non-profit companies from given scenarios. Recommendations and recap. You must be able to differentiate between profit and non-profit companies. Remember, with profit companies, these companies are incorporated for financial gain, which is to make a profit at the end of the day. But with non-profit companies, these companies are incorporated not for financial gain, but for charity purposes. You must be able to define and explain the characteristics, advantages, or disadvantages of the private personal liability as well as the public companies. You must also be able to differentiate between the different forms of ownership. Now, let's look at the challenge. This is the challenge I'm giving you, learners. You need to distinguish between a private company and a public company. I hope today's lesson was fruitful, and what we learned today does not nullify yesterday, but it does make tomorrow better. I hope to see you next time. Goodbye.